Alright guys, I know it is not chapter 254 as the latest chapter of Toriko. However, don't click away just yet. I really felt that I needed to do this series a justice. And I've told you time and time again that because of work I haven't been able to keep up with a lot of chapters of a lot of manga. However, I have had some free time, so I am going to start catching up. And I really felt, at least with Toriko, that I couldn't do it justice by just reading all 4 of the chapters I have to catch up on, and then just doing one big video on everything. And allow you guys like just watching me talk about the chapters and experiencing it again. I used to love doing that myself. I would have already read a chapter or an episode, and for me it was the YouTuber King of Lightning. Despite me already reading it, I loved seeing his reaction and amazement at certain things. So I decided to do this chapter by chapter because each one has so much into it. And because of time constraints and other reasons, I'm not going to do like a 30 to 40 minute video like I'd like to do in my other videos. And there's a lot of reasons for that, in addition to the fact that there's stuff I have to do nowadays. On top of that, viewer retention rate tells me that very few people actually watch until the end anyways, and more importantly, we gotta get through a lot of videos and a lot of chapters. So I'm just gonna release this one. I don't know if I'll get to the end. We'll take it chapter by chapter. 254, Toriko. First thing is that Midora, at first it seemed like a very stereotypical case of a villain gone bad. Very similar to a lot of other mangas, which I don't want to reference in the fear of spoiling them for some of my viewers out there. But it seemed like a very stereotypical thing. Not always. I mean, there's villains that were different, that were genuinely evil. And this isn't the case. This is one where it's an innocent person who was wronged in the past and has become villainous. Similar to, again, I was going to reference something, but I can't because I'd spoil it. But the thing with this is, at first I was like, this has been overdone slightly, and I mean, it's been done before. And at the same time, I'm thinking, you know, it's still better than the whole I was always evil and I've been evil. I mean, that, if done well, is quite awesome. I mean, the biggest example I think of is Joker from the Batman. He is, in a lot of ways, genuinely evil or genuinely crazy, and that's just how he is. Whereas with Midora, he's more of like a innocent guy turned bad. And at the very end of the chapter, it turns out, okay, it seems like it's not that simple, and I really like this. And what it was there's this one panel, and it's basically of him like laying there crying. It's a flashback, and then Midora saying how he eats and eats and eats, and yet his appetite is never satisfied, and he's still hungry, and he can't figure out why, and it's causing him so much pain. And then Ichirayu explains to him, I don't know if it's in the flashback or in the present time, or just in Ichirayu's thoughts. He says that the reason for his pain is not because of hunger, but because of a yearning for family and love. And that was very touching because I can definitely relate to that. I have another YouTube channel called youtube.com/whereyouLaugh, and I do talk about this a lot, and I do feel like a lot of people do suffer from this. They look to the wrong means of solving a problem, and that really touched me in certain ways. A lot of people go out there searching for happiness in the wrong areas, and they get results, but for some reason it's not filling that void inside of them. Very similar to a lot of things in real life, so very touching. But I'm not going to talk too much more about that. If you want to check it out, go to my other channel. But back on topic with this. This chapter, first off, it seemed very simple, and I really like the mirror neurons thing. Again, it's very loosely based on science to the point where it doesn't really make sense, because neurons are just located in your brain, and essentially, basically, this guy is using mirror neurons to pretty much become a complete chameleon. Like, he can blend in with his surroundings perfectly, and that doesn't really make sense because your musculature has, like, it's not completely made of neurons, and even if it was, you can't really manipulate it like that. But I'm not going to be too nitpicky about it. I really liked a lot of the techniques used in this chapter, from the chameleon technique to Midori's tongue technique. I just think really what makes it so cool is the way it, like, attacks people and the damage you can see it does. Like, literally, it rips a unique type of hole that almost looks like a tongue came in and ripped off a huge chunk of his body, and it's just really cool. Really like that. As for Ichiryu, really, I was rooting for him, but I feel like it's the right way for him to die. I mean, we know he loses the battle, and it's very valiant, but it just wouldn't seem right to continue the story on with Ichiryu beating Midori and then everyone going on with their life. I really felt this was the better pathway. If Ichiryu won, then it'd just be like, oh yeah, the good guy, the head president of IGO wins. There we go. Let's just end the manga series there. That's it. We're done. Clap our hands and we're done. And I always liked the good guy winning, but I really like the fact that the author understands that the good guy can't always win, and it's not always a happy ending, because life would be boring otherwise. The story would be boring otherwise. It sucks, but it's how it works. And I'm always rooting for the good guy, but quite honestly, it's how it is. And finally, I couldn't help but recall what's going on a bigger picture. We have these two factions fighting it out with all of their forces, pretty much. They put all their forces into some form, whether in the gourmet world or the Colosseum, to fight it out. And I can't help but think Ichiryu has one last trump card that Midori does not, which is the four heavenly kings. Like, right now, two of them could potentially be dead. Highly doubt it, because the manga is called Toriko. I mean, that is a fallacy that is used in another manga, Naruto. The main character can't die, and it's not just manga, it's movies, storylines, Harry Potter. The main character really can't die, especially when you name the whole thing after him, after the main character. Otherwise, the story just ends. Like, I don't think I've even read a story or heard about a story where the whole story is titled after the main character, and then the main character dies, and then they decided to continue it on with the entire sequel or an entire 100 chapters afterwards. It never happens. So, back on track, the four heavenly kings are the trump card, because remember the four beasts, the four heavenly kings, they have this, this technique that requires all four of them, and I really felt like that was a foreshadowing into the future where that technique will be used again, possibly to end the series and maybe defeat the final boss. I don't think the final boss is Midori, and quite frankly, it is really sad. And finally, I was very surprised that Midori actually went through with the killing of Ichiryu, because despite us being told and shown that Ichiryu lost, and notable trustworthy characters pretty much admitting that Ichiryu was dead confidently, I still couldn't picture at that moment Midori actually just ruthlessly killing Midori there. And I think it was a very good move by the author, because it showed a little bit of darkness. It shows like not everybody has like a complete picture, and there are cruel people in this world, which is more geared towards reality, and especially in this series, it's something that is needed. And that's all I have to say. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Peace.